For the 24th time, the beautiful French seaside town of Dinard throws open its doors for the annual Festival de Film de Britannique. The first order of business is always the opening ceremony, and this year the Alfred Hitchcock Mad Festival presented Toby Jones with an honorary Hitchcock Award for his portrayal of the legendary director in the festival's opening film, The Girl.
When I arrived, I saw all of these sort of stencils and cutouts, and the logo of Hitchcock is everywhere, and I went, now I know they're showing my film, but is it linked? You know, it's slightly nerve-wracking, but I know that it's a separate thing, that Hitchcock is the kind of patron saint of this festival, and some of the architecture is reminiscent of Hitchcock.
Toby's also in town as a member of the competition jury. Here's fellow jury member Alice Eve to give us her take on this year's panel.
I hate the jury, they're awful. Half of them are French, which is just a nightmare. I don't know if you've ever met a French person, but they speak completely differently. Yeah, they have a different language, it's so weird, I don't know why. They're great, I like them all. Toby Jones I know already, and a couple of other Britpops, and then, you know, Aubrey Plaza.
Yes, indeed, this year's jury president is none other than French footballing legend turned actor Eric Cantona, who seems to have made quite the impression on another juror, actor Michael Smiley.
He's like a big sexy transformer, isn't he? Just, you know. I see him in the morning, he doesn't make eye contact, he's slightly crying in the corner, and then the camera, no, he's brilliant, he's brilliant.
He's really cool, I think. I just look at him and say hello, Eric, and goodbye, Eric, at the end of the day, and then we carry on the next day.
Enough Cantona, let's talk about some films and the business of being a juror.
I've never been able to serve on a jury before, and you know, how hard can it be to watch movies and be fed in great French restaurants, and to be, you know, discussing cinema with such interesting people. It's a fantastic way to spend 3 or 4 days.
Hollywood is sort of the dominant market in the world of cinema, and French film is a little more esoteric for us from Great Britain, and so to see these 6 films and to see such a sort of diverse selection of generations and styles of telling stories has been quite special, actually. I would never normally sit down and watch 6 British films in a row.
I was just casually told who was going to be on the panel of judges, and my ears just started filling up with blood. For a couple of days, I just, you know, heard Eric Cantona and everything just went a wee bit, oh God, really? Oh, brilliant, oh God. Really? He likes me? You know, I felt like a 14-year-old girl who'd just been passed a note by a friend across the classroom. Really? I'm going to be doing that? I
think the standard's high, and I quite like there's some young voices coming through, which is, you know, such as life. Young voices are always exciting, and there are some really good ones. We saw, I don't think I can say, although I would happily, but someone might get cross somewhere.
And so to the terrace of the Grand Hotel, where the makers of the competition films were queuing up to talk to us.
We're Jones, and we're here to show Everyone's Going to Die at Dinard.
Hi, I'm Jodie Whittaker, and I play Jenny in Hello Carter.
I'm Anthony Wilcox, and I wrote and directed Hello Carter.
I'm Charlie Cox, and I play Carter.
My name is Stephen Brown. I'm the director of a film called The Sea, which is an adaptation of a Booker Prize-winning novel by John Banville of the same name.
I'm Connor Chapman, and I'm in the film Selfish Giant.
And I'm Sean Thomas, and I'm from Bradford, and I'm in the film Selfish Giant. It's about 2 young lads what get kicked out of school, and like they start going on to scrap and start collecting metal, and then there's a scrapyard worker, and he starts taking advantage of them. So like Aubrey starts getting a bit wound up and starts thieving off him, whereas I just want to drive his horses. They aren't bothered about the money, do you know what I mean? And then he ends up in a lot of debt with him, so he ends up having to do a job, and then that's when the big finale is after that.
The plot of the film is that we catch a man at a particular moment in his life when everything's fallen apart. His wife has died at the start of the film, and we go into his inner turmoil and his grief and his loss, and we go back in time with him to something that is dredged up at this moment from the past.
It is about Carter, who it's a story told over 24 hours, and when we find him in the morning, he sort of wakes up single, homeless and unemployed, and then he resolves to track down his ex-girlfriend as a way of getting his life back together, and it's the journey that sort of leads him on, a kind of crazy set of adventures through the night in London.
There's a girl in her late 20s who's just moved to England. She's about to get married, and she's a bit worried she's making the wrong decision. And then she meets a guy who is in his sort of mid-50s, I would say, and he's the other end of some of those wrong decisions, and they run into each other by chance, and then despite having kind of an unlikely, or being a quite unlikely combination, they find that there's something in each other that they can kind of connect with, and they help each other out.
So how are they finding the festival?
Here, the audience is full of film fans and people who love going to the cinema, and that's a really extraordinary thing, and feels kind of unusual for this beautiful, coastal town to have so many people that love going to the cinema, in queues.
English film,
And from a country that makes such extraordinary cinema, you've got people queuing to go see what feels like, our little film, really excited.
And I can't imagine any other festival in the world where someone on the street will walk up to a completely unknown director and say, I really enjoyed your film, which has happened here. And it's just like, it's amazing. It's just a really lovely, you kind of have this sort of proximity to the audience and the other filmmakers, and we've all watched each other's films.
Yeah.
I think that's quite unique about this festival.
We've been sitting in cafes and having lunch, and people just come up to us and say, we really loved your film, thanks very much. And that's something we haven't experienced before.
And we're called Les Jaunes. They're like,
Les Jaunes!
C'est Les Jaunes!
C'est Les Jaunes!
They think we're brothers as well, so we're Les Frères Jaunes now. Apparently we're the British Coen brothers, despite not being brothers or as good as the Coen brothers.
Dinard is probably the most beautiful place I've been to in years, isn't it? It's like disgustingly beautiful, and I love this. I'm a big fan of curly French architecture. They love a balcony, they love a bit of wrought iron balcony overlooking a wee bit of a downstairs where the doors open out onto a little veranda. I like the idea of that, taking a penknife to a peach.
There's proliferation, as you know, of film festivals all over the world, but few of them will probably happen in more beautiful places.
We also caught up with director Shane Meadows, who this year is visiting the festival for the 10th time. What keeps him coming back?
There's something really special about the place, because when I sort of think in the UK an equivalent place would be maybe somewhere on the East Coast, like Skegness or Mablethorpe, Cleethorpes. The thought that someone in Cleethorpes would have a French film festival and every screening would be sold out basically wouldn't happen. So you realise that there's something the sort of basically the run-of-the-mill working-class people of Brittany are so film literate, it's mad. Dinard is my favourite festival on the planet.
Back at the Palais for the closing ceremony, and it's time to dish out those all-important Hitchcocks. Spike Island takes Best Screenplay, while Titus picks up the Audience Award.
Growing up with Stowe Roses and Manchester United were the two most important things in my life, and then to get an award for writing about the Stowe Roses, and to be on stage with Eric Cantona, who is like literally my hero. If you wanted to hack into any of my email accounts or anything, my password for everything is Cantona. Do you know what I mean? Him and the Stowe Roses are my heroes, and then so for me to be getting that award and getting it off him was amazing. Everything about the festival and the place is wicked.
With our film, it's very intense and it's sad, and it's not a sort of laugh a minute, and it's not the type of film which is there to try and push your buttons and try and make you keep the sort of slow attention span crowd in it. And you could hear a pin drop throughout the whole film, and that leaves you with a feeling of does that mean people are quiet because they really are hating how hard this film is? And we won the Audience Award, which means that people were growing with us through this experience and learning more about life and how it can be hard as well as beautiful, and that's all within the emotional reality of the stuff that we try and make.
But it's The Selfish Giant that sweeps the board, taking Best Cinematography, the Coup de Coeur, and the coveted Hitchcock d'Or.
Showing the film to people is still quite a new experience for us, so when it's recognised and you win awards, that's really it's a fantastic feeling. You just feel like you've achieved what you dreamt of.
I never even thought we'd even leave country with film on it. I won't lie to you, but I just cannot believe it. Robert Moon, and I'm lost for words.
It's such an inclusive and warm festival, and I mean, our film is about children who are excluded, and it's very much about exclusion. So to come to a festival that is so inclusive and people make you feel so welcome, I mean, it's just been a wonderful platform to show the film.
So that's a wrap for the 24th annual Dinard British Film Festival. See you next year.
Oh, best place I've ever been in my life.
Same.